Hey, thank you for listening to the Bad Patches Podcast, episode 9. On today's episode, we're going to discuss band shirts and all that good stuff. Why the subject? Well, yesterday, I kind of was going through a little closet cleanup, getting rid of some old shirts that I never wear, and I noticed that I kind of stopped buying like band shirts at some point and just went for whatever generic stuff they had at Old Navy. And I was like, oh, well, maybe like, so I'm getting rid of these shirts. I'll go online, buy some shirts from the bands that I like, because I still dress like a teenager. And I went to this band site, and I didn't really like a lot of the designs for their shirts, but I really liked the band, so I decided to, add it to the cart. And when I was getting ready to check out, I saw this disclaimer that said that the shirts were all the designs were all printed on vintage shirts that they got off thrift stores and stuff. And at that point, I was like, fuck, like, you're selling me a shirt for $40 that you probably got for like $3 or less, like a fucking Goodwill or something. And I don't know, that just kind of put me off. And I didn't end up buying it, and it kind of just put me in a bad mood because more often than not, shirts at like a concert will be, maybe like between 40 and maybe $60, like depending on the band that you're gonna go see. And I don't know, it just felt like a lot for a used shirt, Like, I'm gonna try and see them live this year. So if I do get a chance, I'll probably get a shirt there. And hopefully it's not the same deal where it's a used shirt, Because it's kind of messed up. Like, nowadays, like, whenever I buy, like, a band shirt or... Well, we'll keep it band related. Whenever I buy one of those shirts, like, after the third or fourth wash, they just, they just disintegrate. Like, they're unwearable at that point. Like, they start losing a bunch of the color. Like, and it didn't used to be that way, Like, I know that I have a good few, like, Iron Maiden, Sabbath, Metallica shirts in my closet that, that I've had since the 90s that still look pretty decent compared to the new stuff that, that I have. And I don't know, man, like, I don't know at what point, like, all that changed. Like, it's kind of crazy. And nothing's cheap anymore. Like, I have this hoodie from a podcast that I listen to. It's a really badass design. I love the hoodie. But then again, like, after the third or fourth wash, like, it no longer looks like a black hoodie. It's all gray and shit. So, I don't know. Like, I don't know what they started to use for merch, but it's nothing good nowadays. Switching subjects, I've always wanted to, like, resell garbage, like junk, and I see a lot of videos online of, like, oh, like, this guy goes to a garage sale and picks up a bunch of games, like 10 games for like $10, and then he'll post like, oh, well, I'm selling them on eBay for $15, and this one goes for $60. Motherfucker, I go to fucking 3 different garage sales, yard sales, or whatever, and all garbage. Like, like, they never sell anything good. And if they have something good, it's always at a reasonable price for them. I'm not gonna get it at $10 or anything like that. Like, I've seen them, like, buy like a PS2 or something for like $60. Like, when I go and see one physically, you know, they go like, oh, that one's like 150. I was like, yeah, you know, because you fucking looked at it and what's it's being sold at eBay like a reasonable person. So I'm beginning to think that all these videos that I see on Instagram are all fake, and it's just like they're all in on it. Oh, he got a great deal on that just to make it seem like it's possible or something. I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy. Like, even with my stuff, like, every now and then, like, I'll start selling, like, some of my records or, I don't know, like, my kids' old toys or something, and I'll post them on OfferUp. And I know what they're worth. Like, I'm not gonna sell you something for cheaper just because, you know, you're trying to save a couple of bucks. I have this Fitbit that I've been trying to sell for maybe like a month already. I'm not in a hurry to sell it, but I know it's worth over $80, and most of the people that reach out to me want to pay $40 for it, and I'm like, fuck that. Like, look for an older Fitbit and buy that one. Like, you're not gonna get a newer one for 80. Like a good Fitbit is like 150. So I'm still selling it for a lot cheaper. It's not like I used it that much, you know. And my kids' toys and stuff like that, like, those are kind of like niches, I guess, for kids, you know, because they kind of go through these periods when they're like super into like Hot Wheels or dinosaurs or whatever. So I end up buying a bunch of the same thing, and I kind of post them like in a little bundle. Like get all these Hot Wheel cars and these tracks for like $50. Like, I spend way over those $50. Like, it is worth way more than those $50. I expect to get $50 for it, no questions asked, but I always get the low offer of, would you be willing to do 30? I was like, no, man, like, you're getting this freaking Cobra set and this freaking electrical car shooter thing that was not even close to what I'm selling it for. So I don't know, like, I hate people that lowball you on stuff that you're trying to sell. I'm not out there to try to make a buck, like, with anything, you know. I just want to get what's fair. You know, I'll use that money to buy my kids some new toys or whatever. But anyway, going back to those Instagram reels and reselling, I think they're all fake. Like, in my experience, I don't think you find those super special deals of something that's really expensive given to you at $10. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, that's that. The other thing I was thinking about is traveling. Like, I never traveled as a you know, I've never traveled that much. I've maybe gone out of the country like twice, you know, and it wasn't anything crazy. It was just for a few days, you know, nothing luxurious. But I know a lot of people, and I see a lot of people post about like their travels, and they go like everywhere, you know. They fucking go to either inside the U.S., like they'll go to New York or Chicago or Florida or whatever, or sometimes they do international trips. And like, is it just me, like, that I don't know how to save money to afford these trips, and that's why I don't go? Like, where are all these people getting all this money? Like, are they just putting it on a credit card so they can go and then pay that off? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like those trips are like super expensive. I usually try to do local drivable trips. You know, that's kind of, you know, you still relax and stuff. You just don't get to sightsee a bunch of shit like you would if you go to London or something. So if you have like travel tips or what you guys do, feel free to let me know, because I definitely do need some help there. We've been wanting to take our son to Florida for like a Disney trip for his birthday. We're gonna try and aim for that next February. So this is gonna be like the first big family vacation, I guess. And I'm a little nervous how he's gonna be on the plane, considering he's a little restless, and whether or not he's gonna complain about not having his Nintendo Switch with him, because we'll probably leave it here. Because, he got addicted to playing Mario games, and that's kind of my fault, because I let him do that all through his summer break. And, when I pictured my son playing video games, I saw him playing like games with me, like Street Fighter or some shooter or something. But he does play like a lot of one-player games like Minecraft and Mario, and he plays a bunch of different Mario games. Like the one he really likes is Mario Maker 2, and he can be on that for hours. And at first he would make like courses for me. Now he just kind of makes courses for himself. Like he'll build it and then he'll play on his own. And I don't know, man. Like I thought, like I guess I pictured how I played with my brother and my sister when I was growing up, where we would sit, in front of the TV with our controls, and we were either take turn or play Street Fighter, fighting each other. And that's not a thing anymore. Like they don't do video games like that you can do multiplayer locally. It's always like online, and you need 2 consoles now to do that. Like I don't think you can play like Apex or like Call of Duty on the same TV, right? You kind of need 2 consoles so you can do that. Like they took that part away. That kind of sucks. Like that was a big part of playing when I was young. Like I remember, I mean, who didn't do that in the 90s? You would go to your friend's house who had a certain game, and you would play there for a while. I used to walk to school, right? And I would go to my friend's house. He was alone. His parents worked, so we're already like 13 or something. So I would stop by his house like an hour before school started, and then we would just play like Street Fighter Alpha on his Super Nintendo. And then once we did that for a while, we just kind of went to school. And it was not always that game, but that was one of the big ones. And you would also go to arcades, play Mortal Kombat, or play freaking Mario Kart at my house. Like we would play Mario Kart, 4-player Mario Kart on the 64. Like, but you don't get that. Like, even though like they made video games like more social, I guess, where you don't have to be in the home. Like, I know he can play Mario 8 or whatever number it's on now with his friends, but none of their friends are allowed to do online gaming, and mine isn't either. So they can't do that. Like the only way they would be able to do it is to play locally. Like Nintendo has done a pretty good part at still trying to keep that portion alive, because you can still play like Mario Party, and I know you can play Mario Kart like on the same console, same TV and stuff. So that's great, and I appreciate that from Nintendo. But like, other than that, like, how are you gonna do it? Like at what age do you give him access to play online? At what age is he ready to hear a bunch of racist stuff and comments about his mother if he's bad at a game? So I don't know. It's just kind of wild how those little things like went away. Like I think the last big game that I played at somebody's house was probably like Halo 2, which was the game that got me back into gaming. I had taken like a nice big break after the GameCube. I don't think I did any gaming after that. And, I started working, and I started playing the guitar and all this and that. And then one day, like, this guy was like, oh, let's go to my house. I got this game called Halo we can play. And I started playing it, and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, what is this? And then it was a little bit before the Xbox 360 came out. So, like, I got hooked on that Halo game. Like, I would go to that guy's house, like, almost daily after work, play with him for, like, an hour, and then eventually, we got the news the Xbox 360 was coming out with Halo 3. So, I bought the 360, and then we all played online, and that was it. I never went to that guy's house ever again. He's still my friend to this day, where he's still a really close friend of mine. That's that, it's, you lose little things to gain other freedoms, and that's kind of fucked up. Like, you should have the option to do both. My nephew, who also recently got an Xbox, he shares my, like, I put my login on his console so he can play the games that I own. But my sister also wants to play with him, like, certain games, and she'll ask me, like, oh, what games can we play together? I was like, fuck, none. Like, you need another Xbox and a TV. Like, you can't do any. Like, I think I maybe thought about, like, 3 games. Like, I think, like, I was like, Gears of War, Cuphead, which tried to bring that type of playing back. And then I was like, fucking just take turns playing a one-player game. Like, that was, like, how we all used to play Zelda or Metroid, Those games are amazing, but going to a friend's house to play Zelda meant you had to sit there for, like, a good hour before it was your turn to play, or vice versa. I had a friend that had a bunch of games, and I always had like 2 or 3, and I would go trade them every now and then. But he would get, like, new games, like, continuously. So he was usually the spot where we would hang out. But he was big on Zelda, so I remember him playing Ocarina of Time and just be kind of watching him beat the game. And then when he was done with it, he let me borrow it, and then I returned it after a few months, because it takes a while to beat those games. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Keep it crispy, and comment stuff, and like it, and subscribe it. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.